All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. We're still having that conversation on why your bottled water, juices, energy drinks, and soda and non-alcoholic beverages prices may go up. This is because of the introduction of the Excise Goods Management System, EGMS. They say it's not a tax, it's a control system to control illicit trade. But Caxton, there's been a lot of concern about whether this will push the prices of the commodity higher in the market.
First, I want to respond to what my colleagues on the panel have said in relation to the impact and the process that brought us to where we are now. First and foremost, we treasure our taxpayers very much. This is why you see every year we celebrate them, because we know that when they are healthy, they pay their taxes. And to prove that, you realize that when a taxpayer has an assessment and the cash flow cannot support that assessment to be paid at once, they are normally allowed a payment plan so that they pay at ease. So these are some of the measures that we've rolled out to ensure that the taxpayer is healthy and we do not kill the cow that gives us the milk. In the issue of rollout of the EGMS, we carried out extensive consultations, first with representative associations, including KEPSA, Kenya Association of Manufacturers, Water Bottlers Association of Kenya. These were the main guys. And we also had consultations with individual companies, leave alone the support that we have given them by deploying 80 officers outside there to assist them to comply. So this is a program that we haven't just woken up and started.
Did you then take into account what they were saying? Because Henry is here and is the chair of Water Bottles Association of Kenya. If you say you consulted him, why does he still have concerns?
I think his concern is not really a concern relating to whether consultations were not or whether they were had or not. His problem arises from whether excise duty should be payable on water.
Should it?
No, I mean, that is another responsibility of another institution of government and parliament, because parliament is the one that makes laws. So if parliament says we tax, KRA implements. This is our role, to ensure that laws relating to tax are implemented. So the issue that he's raising is a completely different issue, and it can be debated elsewhere. But I intend also to say that government requires resources to fund its programs, to support its citizens. And it is always the citizens of that country that pay taxes. So we can't run away from taxes. Taxes have to be there. The debate always should be about what should be taxed, at what rate, and how we can manipulate fiscal policy to prosper, to support economic growth. So the issue of whether the implementation of EGMS will increase costs. We have discussed this before in 2016 with Kenya Association of Manufacturers. And we managed to agree on most of the issues except the issue of cost, which was subsequently escalated to the Cabinet Secretary, the Ministry of Finance, who actually intervened by lowering the stamp fees for water and juices from 1.5 shillings to 0.5 shillings for water and 0.6 shillings for other non-alcoholic beverages. So government has listened to them and they have actually intervened.
Yes. So Henry, what will that mean for the end product? Is it going to be more expensive or slightly cheaper? Because it's saying that it's been introduced and it was lowered again.
Bwana Caxton is talking about the stamp.
Yes.
We personally have no issues with EGMS. Most of us were even welcoming that the system. What we had issues with is, and the way you said, it's an issue that needs to be addressed by Parliament. It was recommended in the PIC report that a tax on plain water should be removed or maybe reduced. We've been also praying to the CS that 5 shillings on a liter is too much on our people. If you look at a product like 20 liters refill, it's where you can feel that. 5 shillings per liter on 20 is 100 bob. Then we used to sell that at 250. Now the cost is going to about 400 or 450. Where someone will give you water for free, I think we need to get it right. It's gonna be a thing of the past. Hutapewa maji na mtu.
Because there's some cost to it.
Yes. Okay. And this is a God product. We need to remember that as a nation.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe just to come back, the taxes on water have been here for quite a long time. So this debate ought to have been several years ago, because the introduction of tax on water is now over 5 years, and we've been running smoothly. I think the biggest problem with this sector has been the low levels of compliance. Because now, when we come to tell them, you must pay your share of tax, then they are raising issues to do with, if we impose tax on water, we will increase prices. So actually, the people who are discussing issues of possibility of increase in prices is not because of the stamp fee, like he says. It is because they now know that it will be very difficult for them to evade the tax. And therefore, they will have to include tax in their pricing.
Is that true? The one you're talking about 5 years, that was mineral water, aerated water, and carbonated water. It was not on purified drinking water. We need to be clear there, Bwana Masudi. It was not on purified water, it was on mineral water. Even the codes, I think you're a tax expert, you can define the codes. The 2201.10 and 2201.90. What we have been certified by KEBS is the purified drinking water, which is 2201.90. So how things changed, I think Kerry can explain to us, or the treasury. But that was on mineral water. I think we need to be also very clear there.
Ken, for me, mostly it's the impact. You see the back and forth between the two gentlemen, and yet they had consultation before this was implemented. So you wonder what they're consulting about. But what would be the impact on this, on the economy, apart from the jobs that you're saying? Then if all of a sudden now the prices of bottled water is too high, what is the ripple effect of that?
Well, let me say Kenya is a very price-sensitive economy. Kenyans are very price-sensitive. I think it's one of the most price-sensitive markets in the world. Anytime you raise something by a few shillings, people find alternatives in counterfeits, in illicits. So obviously, this is going to drive, anytime you raise the cost of bottled water, this is going to drive people into things that are unsanitary or unhygienic or illegal, downright illegal. So we have to worry about that. I've always argued, and it's true, that Kenya needs resources. We need taxes to drive our government agenda. But I've always said that we don't have a tax policy in Kenya, and that's a problem. And that's the reason we have to look for money from water, as we said, which should be a human right, if you like. So for me, we have to go back to the bigger question, what is Kenya's tax policy? Which are the sectors that are not paying their fair share of taxes, that should be paying their fair share of taxes? Nairobi County is earning a fifth of its potential because the land rates have not been revalued since 1980. For me, I think that's one area they should digitize and update the land rates so that the government can have enough money and stop chasing small traders and chasing people who are trying to make a living. So I think that's the philosophical question. Can we have a tax policy for the first time in this country?
Alex, do you think that would be a solution? Have you seen gaps in the tax policy?
Yes, we have seen gaps, and I tend to support Ken comments, because excise duty is supposed to be a sin tax. But over the years, the products which have been brought into the excise duty net, they are increasing. The rates are increasing. So it's more of easy cash cow for KRA. And I think we need to look at, for example, bottled water. When you talk of excise tax being a sin tax, why are we taxing this bottled water? Do we have clean water in our taps? So if we have clean water in our taps, it's okay to tax the bottled water. But so we need to look at all these, and it touch on tax policy. So we need to know what is the right policy and make sure that we are doing the right thing. Yes.
So Caxton, first of all, this is implemented across the entire country, not just in Nairobi, is it?
Yes.
So everyone, even the village person who has a small company, has to comply to this?
Yes.
So that then means that you're going to kill most of the businesses. You just told us yourself that in 2013, when this was introduced in alcohol, they moved from 177 to 21. That's more than,
because we weeded
that's
out
like 80%
yes,
cut.
Because we weeded out illegitimate manufacturers. And this is what this system does. It supports legitimate business and weeds out illicit business. And this is the responsibility of government. Because a government that cannot protect law-abiding citizens, would have failed. So it is the responsibility of government to ensure that those who carry out legitimate businesses are protected.
Yeah.
Because if we allow illicit trade, the industry has been lobbying government heavily to fight illicit trade. So they can't come back at this time again and say, we don't want to kill the illicit ones. Because this is where the solution is trying to cure.
Okay.
We have to protect legitimate business.
What about the cigarettes department? Because one of their biggest challenges now is counterfeit. And you introduced this in 2013. So is it really that as efficient as you make it sound?
It is. When we rolled out this system on tobacco,
yeah,
the illicit trade in tobacco was as high as between 15 and 20%. And it was accounting for a loss of about 500,000 shillings in that industry on monthly basis. When we rolled out EGMS on this industry, we managed to reduce that illicit trade from that to about less than 5%. But suffices to say, the only reason today why anybody can go outside there and say there is some illicit in tobacco industry is because of this system. Because everyone, whether it's a manufacturer or the public, can easily identify an illicit product outside there, because it will either not have a stamp, or if somebody tries, he may have put something that looks like our stamp, but not our stamp. And in any case, it is so easy to tell that it is a wrong stamp.
Okay.
So this is the reason, it is because of this solution that you can actually say there is 2%, 3% of illicit trade in tobacco.
Okay. Henry, what would it take for a company to comply? Paint for me a practical picture.
First of all, you need to go to KEBS before you even set up, so that they can advise you on the kind of the premises you need.
Yeah.
Then you pay up, install machines as per the advice, install the machines. Then after that, usually I send people to NEMA to get NEMA compliance. Then I send them to KRA to get KRA compliance. The whole process, especially in compliance, it costs us about 600, 650, depending on the specialists that did maybe audits and stuff. And then in terms of illicit, we are trying as an industry, as people who came together. What I will invite KRA is engage us. We know what is happening. We know the people who do illicit. We are spread all over.
He says you guys were speaking before this was implemented.
We were speaking about EGMS implementation.
And
yes.
What do you want them to speak to you again about?
We need to speak about, okay, we have been engaging KRA on surveillance also, so that when we find someone who is not compliant, we share that intel with KRA. So it's an area we've been engaging, especially with KEBS and KRA, to weed out illicit. The industry can do that with the assistance of the authorities, KEBS and KRA.
Without the EGMS system? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes. But I'm not resisting EGMS. No, I'm not resisting EGMS. Yeah. It's something that we're also embracing. But we needed to have more discussion on such a table, around table.
So if you're okay with it, then yes, where are the gaps? That's what I'm trying to understand. Is it because there's going to be a higher cost of production? What is your main concern? As it stands, what is your cost of production? And how is this going to shoot it up?
Looking at, my issue has always been the rate of tax, not that 50 cents Bwana Masudi was talking about.
Okay.
Yes.
And how is that going to change your cost of production? What is it right now? On a typical, maybe on a bottle? How much will it be?
On a bottle without excise, on a half liter is about 14, around 14.
Okay.
Then when you put excise, it becomes 20.
It goes to 20?
Yes.
So there's almost like a 6 shillings gap.
Yes.
And this you're going to push to the consumer?
Definitely.
Okay. And this is, I need you to respond to that as well.
Yes.
This round table that he talks about, where are the gaps that you should have foreseen? Or are you sure that this is fine the way it is?
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
If that process was pushed by the industry in conjunction with KRA are in the offices, we are on the ground, we know what is happening.
Okay.
If it was industry-led with the support of KRA, this thing ingekuwa imeisha.
So you feel it's not a bottom-up approach, it's more like KRA speaking down at the people down?
Sometimes they make their regulations and they push it to us, where you need to change your production line from, I don't know, whatever form, to fit what they think is supposed to be. But if we can come and we tell them, this is the system, this is what we have, can we make policies that are actually bottom-up, that will work?
Caxton.
Yes, I think the most important thing that we should say here is that the regulations were done in consultation. Implementation has been done in consultation, and all the issues that were brought for consideration by the industry were taken into consideration, and solutions provided where there were challenges. So from where KRA sits, we have held both consultations with industry and the public. We have actually held public forums to support this. But much more important is the issue of working with industry to fight illicit trade. We appreciate as KRA that for us to succeed, we need intelligence. And the intelligence comes from the public. And there is no person who is interested in clean business like a legitimate business. And we appreciate that those who carry out legitimate business using this system will provide us with intelligence about where illicit products are being sold, who is selling them, and we will take action. And we actually invite the industry to collaborate as they are offering with KRA in fighting illicit trade.
When is this supposed to be adhered to, this system that we're talking about, EGMS? Is it live already?
Oh, it went live on 13th of November.
On 13th of November. How many people have complied so far?
So as today, I will not be able to tell you the number. But
what is the target number? How many do you project?
We have 450 licensed manufacturers of water.
So even right there, there's a difference, because he said 700, you're saying 450.
So that means that there are already people outside there who are producing water without licenses.
Okay. So the ones KRA know are 450.
450.
The ones the Water Bottlers Association know are 700.
700.
Okay.
Yes. So that alone tells you there is another 300 that they know that are operating illegally.
Okay.
Yes.
And by your projections, how much will this jump up price-wise? Because when you're doing the consultations, I'm sure you knew that this is going to be the marginal change. How much were you seeing? The jump in price?
For us, the only additional cost we are seeing is the 50 cents.
50 cents?
Yes.
That's it?
That's it. 50 cents for a bottle of that sells for 20 shillings shouldn't really be a big issue.
So ideally, you're saying if the water bottle was, say, 20 shillings, it should maximum be 21 shillings?
Yes.
Is that practical?
Are we talking about mineral water or bottled water?
You're the ones in the industry, you can tell us both sides. Because there are some that are categorized under luxury, the others that are very necessary. So is that practical, what he's saying, that the jump is just 50 cents, so it shouldn't affect you that much?
You know, carriers are reading from their book, and I can tell Masudi, when mtu wa Mungu, let's tell the public the truth.
What is the truth?
Yes. It's gonna be around 2021.
Extra?
Yes. We used to
wait, we are working with a practical approach here. If it's 20 shillings, so how much will it go to? He says it should maximum go to 21 shillings. You're saying it should maximum go to...
on the cost of the stamp, that is 50 cents plus. Yeah, there's some inflation, I think, which were added to 5 shillings.
So
that is 5.47 plus 50 cents. That's about a bob, a shilling.
So then the cost is not as high as we imagined, right?
No, take our production cost of 14, then add 5 shillings, then.
So there's going to be a jump of 5 shillings.
For that bottle, the bottle of water we buy it, for a PET plastic, we buy it at 5 shillings, 0.2.
Okay.
Then excise is 5.47.
Okay.
Yes.
What I'm trying to get from you now is how much is it going to rise by, the practical approach? Because the Mwananchi who's watching me now is just wondering, if my bottle was 50 bob, how much will it be? That's what I want to know.
Mwananchi has been buying it at 15. Mm-hmm. We are going to sell it at X Factory at 20.
At 20?
At least 20.
So it's a 5 shilling jump?
Yes.
Okay. And Caxton doesn't agree with that. But we'll come back to the rest of the panelists.
But I think, as he says, he's trying to say that there are people who have not been complying with tax payment.
Okay.
And now they will comply. And by complying, they will pay their tax. That's why he's talking about the 5 shillings.
So ideally, they should have been paying this 5 shillings even before the EGMS.
Ideally, they should have been at 20.
Okay.
And based on their margins, they would either absorb the 50 cents and work on volumes, because the market is going to be level. Competition will no longer be on the basis of who can evade taxes. It will now be on the basis of who does the right marketing, the right branding. You appreciate. But
what about the impact on job losses, Caxton? Is that a concern?
Our appreciation is that legitimate business grows, they employ more people. Basically, this is.
Ken, is that a bad
you know, if we were living if this conversation was taking place in Denmark, where you have almost 99% formalization of industries, I'd completely agree this current approach. But we are living in Kenya, where almost 80% of the market is in the informal sector. So policies cannot exist in a vacuum. They have to exist within a context. So the context, I've tried to help clients enter the manufacturing space, and the level of barriers to enter that industry are very high. So much so that the incentive is for most people not to fully comply. So that makes them 70, 80%. So you're going to punish a whole 80% of the economy because you want to meet this threshold. So for me, it's all about, yes, great goals, but what is the context? If 80% of your market is informal, you cannot punish all those. You have to have a way of carrying everybody towards that promised land.
But how do you balance the two? Because Caxton is saying that the same industry players want them to deal with illegitimate traders.
Right.
How do you balance that versus job losses?
Well, first of all, I think we have to reduce the criteria to be a manufacturer in Kenya. The licenses you have to become a manufacturer, a small-time manufacturer. We have to look at that and say, does this make sense for Kenya? Are there some areas we can reduce to allow more people to formalize? In fact, when you think about the tax problem in Kenya, it's because most people are existing outside the tax bracket in the informal sector. Can we formalize them, then bake that cake, then we can have a small slice of that cake. That's not what's happening. We are trying to pretend we are a European country.
But we are not.
But we are not.
Okay. I have a lot of feedback coming through to our studios. Let me read some of them because I'm sure there most likely be questions as well for KRA there. Let's bring them up and see what you're saying on 22422 coming through. You don't leave a name or where you're texting from. But you say, why are you forcing people to give collateral for tax due? Collateral for tax due, Mr. Caxton. Why haven't you implemented the 2% withholding tax? There's an issue of withholding tax. Why is it like we are fighting with you when we don't agree on pertinent issues with genuine claims? You're simply making business impossible. Please change the way you relate with us, business people. Taxes in this country is the highest worldwide, and it keeps increasing every day. Okay, I'm sure you've taken those questions. Another one here. Why are we forced to pay for VAT that we've not yet been paid for? E.g. supplies to counties and government. What can be done to unburden us? Do you expect us to take loans to pay for unpaid taxes? Okay, so VAT on products that have not been paid for yet. Another one here, small petroleum dealers will close next year due to too many regulations. Big companies want us out of business. There's no question there for you. John from Kawa West says, KRA should widen the tax base rather than overburdening the taxpayers. You don't leave a name here, but you say, hi, yes, KRA introduced a system to curb down illicit trade, especially on alcohol. The government failed to provide adequate free water for Wananchi Then when the private investor came in to supplement what the government has failed, they're now being taxed heavily. All right. Duke Jesai says Kenyans are bitter with the way public institutions work. KRA should always perform socio-economic assessment before introducing any policy and laws. I pity those who have been rendered jobless due to KRA no concern policy. In this year alone, thousands of businesses have closed down due to high operational costs. All right. Abel from Eldoret says water is an essential commodity which should, in a worst case scenario, be zero rated. Citizens will turn to unclean tap, river and well water. You don't leave a name, but you say, hi Trevor, please kindly ask the person from water to let us know why we have to pay 1,000 for reconnection of water. This is too high. It's stealing from us during Mchana. That's a concerned citizen. I think he mistakes you for the water guys. It's from the Water Bottlers Association. Okay. Mary Kenya from Narok says, surely we need to think in expansive direction because it's quite shocking in Kenya that even a natural product like water can shoot its price just like petroleum, and in the real sense, it doesn't call for any production cost. Don't you see something isn't happening? Do something. Caxton, most of the questions were for you.
Yes.
As we wind up on this.
Implementation of 2% withholding tax is ongoing, and this should not be a worry to anyone. Actually, when we have all access to data in this economy, we would probably not need the 2% withholding tax. Okay. Because really withholding tax is paying upfront, which sometimes not very necessary, except that for now, we are using this to identify persons who are trading with various institutions. And we give it back to them when they make a declaration of tax as credits. Collateral for tax due, yes, sometimes we do issue enforcement measures to protect revenue, and this is a way that is normally used to secure revenue. I mean, it's sometimes you have to secure revenue where you think the taxpayer is not being cooperative. Is our tax the highest worldwide? I don't think so.
Was that on the issue of the VAT? Because the concern from the viewer was sometimes they're asked to pay before they actually paid for the supplies that they made.
That is not the issue of VAT. The issue of, VAT according to the law has what we call time when it becomes due. Now, it becomes due when you issue an invoice, when you deliver, or when you pay, whichever comes first. So it is a legal arrangement that has been provided for.
But you are aware there are pending bills that run into billions as we speak. So why should someone be compelled to pay VAT and they've not even been paid for the services they offer?
Like I said before, if anybody finds themselves in a situation that they have a challenge with the cash flow, they can always move and meet their relationship manager, because we have given every taxpayer access to an officer who supports them in accounting for their taxes. If they are in such kind of situations, they can talk to the officers and they can make arrangements to clear that tax in a much more comfortable way. Because we are human. I mean, we exist in an economy that we understand the challenges that exist. So that happens. My friend here from the consultants firm will tell you that they make these arrangements for their clients quite often. So the issue of widening the tax base, yes, this is what government is doing. And last year, they reintroduced turnover tax, which is a simpler tax to pay because it doesn't require a lot of accounting. We also have the presumptive tax, which is now an advanced tax on TOT, on the turnover tax. And we are also now going outside there, identifying everybody else who is supposed to be paying taxes and is not paying. Okay. This includes the recruitment of professionals, people who own property, and so many other transactions that should be attracting taxes.
Okay. Now we're going to have to end this discussion on that, but we're going to talk about the issue of vehicle taxation, the excise duty that has been increased on vehicles, but we will have you back for that discussion with someone from the motor industry. But I'd like to give you a chance to just make your closing comments, except for Ken Gishinga. Ken Gishinga will remain with me for a bit because we're talking about pending bills. Now we're going to go to the counties, talk to our correspondents down there and talk about the impact of those pending bills there. We'd also like to hear from you how it has affected you. 22422 is the SMS line at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. But Henry, I'll start with you just to wind up. What are your main concerns and what is your parting shot, so to speak? What would you like to see?
First of all, I would like to thank everyone that came. And also remind the public that when we started the exercise and again back in KRA, there were 181 compliant companies. Then we pushed everyone, especially our members, and we guided them. Now, I think by July, there were about 405.
Okay.
So it's something we celebrate as an achievement. It's only that we were not awarded the other day. Then on the illicit, I would like to give a preview of our members. These are people who have retired and they're trying to find something to do. These are people who have come together, especially the youth, that they didn't have employment and they came together and pulled and started that job. So for them that are not in this gap, are not in this pool,
yeah,
maybe they don't have that information, and that's what we've been doing. Then I'll ask, I would want to offer like a proposition that Masudi, you can push for the reduction of that cost, of that tax. I know you are on the policies, you have a direct contact with the Treasury. You can reduce it, and we are ready to pay even 2 shillings or 2.5 inclusive of the stamp. That's something we are ready. And you can rename that tax from sin tax to another thing, because we understand the codes are not right. Yeah. Let's also, we could also have like an exchange program that you come wear my shoes, I come wear your shoes. So that where you are, I can try to put things right, and you can also learn from where I come from.
Okay. Alex, very briefly.
I think for me, everyone needs to pay tax.
Okay.
And I think the problem we have is where we are, how we are using the taxes.
Okay.
And I think if we can do away with corruption and have very good tax policies so that we don't tax maybe products or sectors or not to be taxed,
okay,
I think we'll do very well.
All right.
And we have a very good working nation now. Yeah. We have very good people on the ground, and even businesses are very, very willing to maybe pay taxes.
Yeah.
But you see, those who are not paying taxes, they don't see where the taxes is going.
Okay.
So if they can be motivated, they can see that their businesses are facilitated.
Then they'll comply more.
Then they will comply.
Okay.
And I was surprised that they have 2 different numbers. And I know they talk to each other.
Yeah.
So if they talk to each other, then those 300 we are talking about, we can see how to maybe tax them and bring them into the net.
Okay.
And then we have a bigger cake. But I think the expenditure is what we are failing as a nation.
Caxton, very briefly. I'll keep, Ken is staying with me, so.
2 things.
Yeah.
One, on the issue of reduction of costs to the industry. We've had petitions from the industry on this, especially on the multiplicity of marking by government institutions. As you may be aware, KEBS, KRA, Anti-Counterfeit Agency, KFIS, Brand Kenya, all require some kind of marking on products. So as we are discussing now, government has convened a working group in order to work out a solution of reducing this kind of burden on the industry by going with one solution, one stamp for government, so that when you comply with all requirements, you have one government stamp.
Okay.
So that is ongoing, and it is in response to the appeals from industry to reduce the costs.
Okay.
But finally, as a parting shot, I want to say that we appreciate industry for the support that they have given KRA in rolling out EGMS.
Okay.
We have got tremendous support.
Despite a bit of outcry from Henry. With Caxton Masudi, Deputy Commissioner, Policy Domestic Taxes Department at the Kenya Revenue Authority, thank you for making time. Mr. Henry Kabogo, Chairperson, Water Bottlers Association of Kenya, and Alex Ngingo, Senior Manager, EY Tax Department. Thank you for making time. Ken Gishinga, Chief Economist, Mentoria, is staying with me. We're going to talk about the pending bills in just a bit, right after we take the pulse across the country on how it's affecting the people on the ground. And then we'll look at the way forward. Keep your views coming as well. 22422 is the SMS line at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. We're back in just a bit.